Hello and welcome everybody to the CogniFit Podcast. Today I'll be interviewing Andrea Klimowitz, who is a well-being consultant and meditation teacher who studies the science of sound and breathwork at the core of her practice. Today we'll be exploring how to heal insomnia through mindful practice as a way to assist the quality of your sleep. I'm very excited to welcome you here today to see how we can explore sleep from this perspective, because it's very interesting to see how we can apply sound and breath work and understand the root of its science as a way of healing ourselves. So Andrea, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Cristina, for inviting me. It's such a pleasure for me.
Wonderful. And I wanted to start this conversation, first of all, by asking you what drew you to using sound and breath work as the guiding force of the way you teach.
So this is a very interesting question. When my father passed away 7 years ago, I realized that there was something else there that we couldn't see, something that was much bigger than what we see. And through breathwork and sound, I was able to enter different states of consciousness that allowed me to understand a little bit more of what we cannot see, and usually what is inside of us, because there's so much beauty inside of us that we can't really realize until we stop and we breathe and we listen.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, where did you begin the beginning of your breathwork journey? Like, how did you discover it for yourself as a tool for your own self-healing?
Well, the first time I tried a breath work was in Burning Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Eva Kakthor, which ended up being my master, my great teacher. Yeah, and I realized it was so powerful, and I had to dig more into it.
And how did you discover sound along that journey as well? Because I understand, I mean, knowing you personally as well, everything started with you studying breath and going on that journey first. But then what
Mhm.
made you bring sound into the practice?
Another good teacher of mine that I am so grateful for, that is David Shemesh. He taught me everything about sound, also Alexandre Tanous. And I realized that before that I didn't know how to listen, and how important it is to broaden the spectrum of the way that we listen, and both breath and sound basically enable us to be more present in
Mm,
this.
yeah, definitely. And I think there's something really powerful when we explore how the frequencies, I think, of all of the sound, I guess, tools that are being introduced right now within the mindful practice can help assist us. And I'd love to go deeper on that with regards to brain health and what you've discovered along this journey on what you know about sound and breath work influencing our brain health, and what would you say are the biggest benefits?
So I'm a crazy about how the brain works, and especially with these kind of practices and meditation in general. But basically, they both work in different ways, but they take you to kind of the same place. What they do is they lower the activity in our prefrontal cortex, and that is basically our analytical mind, our analytical part, that inner chatter that sometimes we can't get rid of and that we don't know how to deal with. And through sound and breath, you are able to kind of not shut down, because that may sound like a little radical, but definitely lower that activity, that part that is not allowing you to listen to your intuition, to your perceptions, your sensations, your emotions in the end. which are so important to understand a good health or mental health in the end.
And what would you say, like, over time you find is like helping people the most in when it comes to doing breath work and sound healing over a prolonged period of time? What have you discovered also through your clients that's taught you a lot about the brain health optimization and maybe things that have affected the nervous system and things like that? I'd love to know more about your personal experiences.
I think that people sometimes get too overwhelmed or sometimes even scared about these tools or methods, and in the end is something so simple that we take it for granted. I think if we would all have a small practice daily of simply closing our eyes and taking some long breaths, it would be the rest of the day would be so much easier. Or it doesn't matter if you do it in the morning, if you do it in the evening, or if you do it in the midday. It doesn't really matter. It's just a moment to be with yourself, to understand to where you at, to do like a little check-in and see what are the things that are disturbing you, just to be more aware of who you are and what affects you more.
Yeah, deepen our awareness. I think that's definitely something everybody needs on this path of self-healing. And I guess that's what we're all here for, to deepen that knowledge of who we are and what's helping us. And
Mhm.
probably what tools are most effective as well as we're deepening that knowledge. So yeah, totally agree with you. But I guess going back to the sleeping like focus, why do you think people are struggling with insomnia now more so than ever? Because this is something we spoke about beforehand as well, with sleep being like a key theme right now around what people need the most support in.
Mm. I think right now we are living a very challenging era, in which we are completely overstimulated. And I think our system, our the way that we were created was not made for what we are experiencing right now. And that is why it is so important to be aware of the moments in which we are using technology. Technology is wonderful and it's been giving us so much in such short time, but we have to be aware of when we're using it and how much and the way that we are using it, and especially with kids. Um, we are right now trying to answer a message while we are trying to answer our kids' problem at the same time. And at the same time, we are trying to drive a car. So that is completely out of control. And we are experiencing the consequences of that. And I think that is the main reason why people are struggling so much with anxiety, with depression, and of course with insomnia, because we we don't know how to handle this, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely think we're living a generation of this like dopamine, like overexertion of dopamine addiction, which is coming from like everything that we're doing through all the technology that we're using alongside how much focus we're given to certain things. And what other factors would you say like are affecting sleep from your perspective, like beyond the technological age factor? Like what
Mhm.
key things have you identified?
So there's so many things that we're doing that I didn't even know before until I started studying this. One of the main things is that we don't get enough sunlight.
Hmm.
um, I mean, you and I here in Spain, we're very lucky, but in some other countries, it's kind of tough to get that amount of sunlight. It's super important to get sunlight in the morning and in the evening. And these are studies that I have been looking at from Huberman and Stanford. And there's kind of like a language between the earth and us that we don't even realize it's happening. So the wavelength of the light that we get in the morning is different than the one that we get in the evening. So basically the sun is telling us um, what time it is. And if we don't make that effort of looking at the light at the sun directly, even if it's just for some seconds, we're not getting that message to our body. So our body will never know what time it is. It's like when you get in the casino and you don't know what time it is because they don't want you to know. This is the same thing. So we have to do that effort to establish that language with the earth. Another thing that I have noticed is coffee. Coffee is delicious. I love coffee,
I
trust me.
love coffee.
I know. But it is affecting our nervous system dramatically, and we don't even realize. And it is a very powerful drug, such as alcohol. And I'm gonna talk about alcohol in a second. Coffee is something we should take once or twice a week as something as almost as a gift, and we would even appreciate it more when we take it not as often. If we have to take coffee every day because we can't live without it, I would recommend to take one and take it an hour later, an hour after you've waken up. Never after 2 p.m.
Mhm.
if you're having trouble sleeping. If you don't have trouble sleeping, I've met so many people that after dinner take a coffee and they say, no, I fall asleep immediately. I don't care if I take a coffee or not. This is wrong. I've been, trust me, I've been reading so many studies that say that drinking coffee before you go to bed, it affects the quality of your sleep so much. And same with alcohol, and same with cannabis. So a lot of people take alcohol before going to sleep because they say that it allows them to fall asleep easily. This in the end is just how do you say this in English? Oh shit, it's not gonna come.
In Spanish.
it's it's oh my god, it's not gonna come. Okay, whatever.
Mhm.
It's not good for you. It's not good for you to take alcohol or cannabis before you go to bed. It's um yeah, it's that word is not gonna come. It doesn't matter.
Counterintuitive, counterproductive
It is counterintuitive.
for nervous
But yeah,
system.
yeah. Anyways, dinner food, it's also something that we should take into account. Here in Spain, people tend to have dinner super late. And this is affecting also the quality of our sleep. We should probably have dinner before 8, even though that people do in Europe and also in the States very naturally, and it's trying to have dinner before, even before the sun goes down, because your metabolism is going to work so much faster.
Mhm.
Another thing that is important is to get in bed usually at the same time. So if it's 10 p.m., which is usually the time that I recommend, try to get in bed every day at the same time, and try to wake up every day at the same time.
And train your circadian rhythms, right? Because it's quite interesting
Exactly.
too, like when it comes to, I think when I think about what's affected my sleep more than anything, there's metabolism related to caffeine. So I have quite fast metabolism with caffeine, but with alcohol, I have noticed that my sleep, I always sleep significantly less and feel less rested. And what
Oh,
would
the word just came up. Sorry, it's sedative. So
it? Okay, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
The sedative effect. So, but you want to say you want to talk about alcohol. So, what have you discovered through, I guess, like your practice when it comes to alcohol and how that affects your sleep?
I have the same issue as you do. I fall asleep easily, but then I wake up either many times during the night, or I wake up way early. Yeah.
I feel like that's something that's probably quite. Do you know why that happens? Why do we wake up earlier as a result of alcohol consumption?
I would say I haven't really um got into this, but I would say from my intuition that you are dehydrated. So your
Hmm.
body is asking you to get more water, and that's one of the reasons why you wake up, probably.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like a very reasonable and intuitive response to to why we wake up in the middle of the night. Of course, we're dehydrated and there's inflammation in the body. So I guess they're just cues that we need to like do something to nourish. I always find magnesium helps a lot as well. And
Yeah.
binaural beats also have always helped me through when my mind has been overactive, since you were talking before about the prefrontal cortex and how our brain, has this reaction. I've worked a lot with like, the different wave frequencies and stuff to help me when also I've been feeling more overly stimulated. But obviously, when there are other substances that are interfering with my nervous system, it's very difficult. Like any other supplement or sound can only do so much, but my body has to be in quite a clear, natural state in order for it to be effective. So I guess something for everybody watching to just be mindful of what you're putting into your body and pay attention to the patterns of these effects that we have when we're trying to improve the way that we're sleeping.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not trying to demonize alcohol or coffee. We all take those substances sometimes, and it's inevitable. We live in in a world where that happens, and it's also great to enjoy it, but we need to be aware of it.
And maintain the balance and the homeostasis in the body. Uh,
Yeah.
But what key themes would you say around like what would you say has come up the most when it comes to your clients in particular and like what they're the common themes I think that you've picked up on in the collective? Because obviously we're sharing our own experiences, but what do you think is something that a lot of people are dealing with when it comes to sleep?
I think changing changing those habits is the toughest part for everyone,
Yeah.
and also me. I mean, until I became aware of all these things and how much it was affecting me, and and I started prioritizing sleep, which is something that people just take for granted, or they just don't see as important. We don't realize that there is nothing more nourishing and reconstructing and almost miraculous than sleep. I mean, there's a reason why babies sleep so many hours. It's because they are creating new cells,
Mm,
and don't sleep, we are not enabling our own bodies to do that. And you can see it in people's skins, in people's moods. I mean, it's crucial, but we think that there are things that are more important.
it's true. We don't prioritize enough. Sleep is honestly like the best healing medicine. And
Absolutely.
I've actually noticed as I've gotten older and as I've understood more about the human condition, how much I love and appreciate a good night's sleep more than anything else. Like sometimes it's honestly one of my favorite things to do to go to sleep and know that I'm gonna get like my 8 to 9 hours, and it's just like the most. I look forward to it now more than ever. Before it was kind of like, okay, I think it was a ritual that felt like we kind of all need to sleep. But now it's like something I look forward to. And I feel like that's just such a beautiful thing. And
No.
shifting perspective. I really look forward to sleeping sometimes. Actually, all the time. All the time. It's always a good thing. It's always something I look forward to these days, I'm going to say. And I wanted to ask you, because like with breath work, for example, how has breath work helped improve your sleep on your journey?
Oh, so much. I mean, even if it's not dynamic breath work, because breath work is very broad. Um, and usually when I work with groups, I do dynamic breathing. Um, Even if it's just a normal breath work in which you are being aware of your breath, it it creates so much coherence between your heart and your brain and your brain itself. And when I'm saying coherence, I'm saying that there is um, a sense of calm in your entire body that you cannot experience if you're not in that state of awareness, for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. And have you dealt with insomnia like yourself
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah,
prolonged
yeah.
periods of time? Or what was like
Um,
when you lived with it?
when my father passed away, I was dealing with anxiety sometimes, and yeah, I mean periods of months in which I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I didn't know about all these tools and things that you can do, and probably I was not prioritizing sleep either at that time.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think the reason that it happened to me was moving me forward to learn more about it and study it in depth.
Beautiful. It's amazing how some very difficult and challenging times in our lives can lead us on this path of, developing the awareness on how we can really find that rebalancing. So I feel like everything that in the human condition aspect, whenever we're dealing with these traumatic experiences on an emotional level, we always have like a way to open new ways of dealing with the pain and dealing with the difficult emotions. So I very much honor you for sharing this part of your story with us, and also, helping us gain insight into what you've learned as you've gone through these experiences yourself. And I think,
S-
oh yeah, sorry.
No, no, tell me.
And I did want to ask you, because I think out of everything we discussed about like all the touch points that we've picked up on in today's conversation, I'd love to conclude with like what top three tools you tell people right now who might be struggling with insomnia, who might have gone through a very difficult event recently, who might have been living what you also had to live at that point in your life, to give them the awareness that they now may be seeking.
Mm. So I would say some very basic things that I think anyone could do. The first one is to avoid any technology, laptop, phone, or TV at least 1 or 2 hours before we go to bed, and try to maybe read
Mm-hmm.
and or maybe just have a nice conversation with someone. Another thing that I always encourage my clients to do is to do a little gratitude exercise before going into bed. And some people think this is naive. I think this is the core of happiness, and it's just being grateful for what you have every day, because every day you can be grateful for something new. Doesn't matter if it's the house that you're living in, the person that is next to you that is smiling you every morning, your health. I mean, even simple things as sleeping in a bed that is
Mhm.
clean and that is comfortable. I mean, that is priceless. And we just get into bed and we take it for granted, you know? And what else? I would encourage people to follow the earth's rhythms,
Mhm.
be aware of the light, be aware of what time you're having dinner every day. This is like, landing an airplane. It takes a while. So you can't just get in bed and expect your mind to be calm in a second. It just takes some time. So why don't you find your ritual? You create your own, doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you light up an incense before, so that you start conditioning your body to understand that it's time to go to bed. Dim the lights in your house. These are very small things that in the end they all sum up and help you to really get into bed and fall asleep. Another thing that has helped me a lot and many of my clients is either using yoga nidra,
Mhm.
like listening to a yoga nidra record or
Can you elaborate on what yoga nidra is?
okay, yoga nidra is meditation practice that is focused on each part of the body.
Okay,
And
like a body
uh,
scan technique.
yeah, like a body scan that will take you to your first toe, second toe, third toe. So it's like very, very, very slow. And um it's kind of demanding because it makes you be aware of where in which part of the body are we right now. Okay, now we are in the foot and then the knee and then and in a second you don't even realize and you are so relaxed that
Mhm.
sometimes you can even fall asleep. So either listen to a yoga nidra record or non-deep sleep rest. These are also Huberman's videos and tapings. These are really good too. It's the same procedure.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And also self-hypnosis.
Okay, so
Yeah, this is something I learned from the Silva method, and it's been super helpful for me. And there are many things out there in the internet that you can find easily. It's super super easy to find.
wonderful. We'll put those references in the description so you guys can also find them. So it's all there for you. And thank you
Yeah.
so much, Andrea, for also sharing your knowledge with us today. And now, to conclude on this beautiful conversation, I'd like to invite you to do a cognitive assessment with us. So we
Let's do
can assess your brain health today and give insight into how your cognitive abilities are functioning right now from a very light perspective, because we all have our days. But I'm really excited to guide you through this. I think it's going to be really fun for me to observe as well and see how you perform. So whenever you're ready, can you just get up the link that I sent you and we'll play.
let's do it. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna play eyes closed and test Andrea's brain health. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So here you basically have to memorize where all the circles are before. Then you press start and then try and memorize them by clicking on the screen to where the circles were. It's quite difficult when we're using just the mouse on its own, but let's see how well you do, girlfriend.
Okay.
Not too bad. Oh, okay. Getting there. You got two circles. Test of the deeper awareness. Oh, nailed it. Oh, she's getting closer. Oh, nice. couple more levels. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nice. Look at that 67% accuracy. Look at your cognition skills. Next level. Not bad. Look, nice 50. Got it. And well done. You completed your task assessment. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Superstar. And thank you so much for being here today and sharing your insight with the podcast and the community. And wish everyone a wonderful rest of day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.